This is a very interesting topic, right? But before we dive into the details, let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time in a bustling city lived two friends, Carlos and Pedro. Both were hardworking and dreamed of financial stability, but each dealt with money in different ways. One day they were chatting about their work when Carlos mentioned he was thinking about investing some extra cash he had been saving. But haven't you heard? The market is unpredictable, Pedro replied. Better to save in the bank. I recently read this article online that says the stock market only goes up in the long run. But who knows if that trend will continue, right? So Carlos decided to play it safe and kept his money in the bank, missing out on the incredible growth of the last few years. He felt relieved knowing it was in a safe place, but secretly couldn't help but wonder if he had made the right choice. On the other hand, Pedro started investing after reading the same article that scared his friend. He opened an account and put his money into a diversified portfolio, keeping a portion in the bank for safety. Over the years, while Pedro saw his investments grow, sometimes going up and sometimes down, Carlos kept his savings untouched, fearing losses. Then came the big moment. Carlos needed the money for an urgent purchase, so he withdrew the amount he had saved over the years. But to his dismay, he noticed that because of inflation, it now bought him far less than when he had put it aside. Frustrated and disillusioned, he realized the real loss had been not investing. Meanwhile, Pedro also needed money for an important purchase. He checked his account, and despite some fluctuations, saw that his initial investment had grown significantly and left him with a nice profit. With the extra money, he was able to buy what he wanted and still had his original investment intact. From then on, Carlos began investing too, but now afraid of losses, his investments suffered. Unlike Pedro, who had learned that sometimes the fear of losing is greater than the loss itself, Carlos never recovered from the initial setback, always reacting negatively to market ups and downs. This story illustrates a common problem: loss aversion. This means we feel the pain of a loss twice as strongly as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. So we avoid risks and opportunities that could bring great results, just as Carlos did. We prefer to stay in our comfort zone, settling for less. But that doesn't always lead to happiness, does it? Loss aversion can keep us from reaching our full potential, both financially and personally. It leads to missed opportunities, procrastination, and inaction. But remember, life isn't just about avoiding losses. It's also about embracing risks and reaping the rewards. In this video, I'll delve deeper into loss aversion and explain how it can affect your daily life, especially your finances. I'll teach you how to overcome this fear of loss so you can seize opportunities that might change your life. Stay with me till the end because I'll share practical tips to help you become bolder and make better decisions. Let's start. First, I'll explore the origins of loss aversion and why it exists. The theory suggests that we evolved to be more sensitive to losses than gains, because survival was more threatened in our distant past. Losing food meant hunger, which could lead to death. Not having shelter exposed us to predators or harsh weather conditions, which also posed a threat to survival. Therefore, our brain developed a system to enhance our alertness, triggering an intense response when we face the possibility of losing something. This explains why we feel the pain of loss more acutely. In today's world, these instincts remain. However, in many situations, the consequences aren't as extreme. For example, if you invest in the stock market and the price drops, you won't die of hunger or become exposed to the elements. Yet our brains still react as if it were a matter of life or death. We feel anxious, stressed, and tormented by the fear of loss. Second, let's talk about the symptoms of loss aversion and how they manifest in our lives. We often see this fear of loss leading to unnecessary expenses. Let's imagine you pay for a gym membership but rarely use it. Despite that, you keep paying monthly because you feel like you're wasting money by canceling. This is a common situation where people hold on to things simply because they've already invested time, effort, or money and don't want to acknowledge that it might have been a bad choice. In the digital age, we constantly face similar situations. Think about those online subscriptions we hardly use anymore, like streaming services, music platforms, or software we no longer use but keep paying for out of habit. This behavior is known as the sunk cost fallacy, and it's closely related to loss aversion. We keep throwing good money after bad, because we don't want to admit we made a wrong choice, or worse, we've wasted our money. Now, consider the power of loss aversion in major decisions. It can make us miss out on lucrative job offers, keep us in toxic relationships, or even prevent us from seeking medical treatment due to fear of high costs. In each case, the pain of loss takes over, paralyzing us and preventing us from making positive changes. Third, let's discuss the impact of loss aversion on personal finance. Loss aversion can be particularly harmful in financial decisions. Studies in behavioral economics show that the fear of losing money can cause us to make irrational choices that harm our financial well-being. One common example is the tendency to hold on to poorly performing investments. Imagine you bought shares in a company that you thought had potential, but its stock price has been dropping steadily. Faced with this situation, the natural reaction is to feel the pain of the loss. Instead of analyzing the investment's performance objectively and deciding whether it's worth maintaining, many people opt to keep it simply out of fear of admitting they made a mistake. They convince themselves they'll wait for the price to recover, hoping to avoid the emotional discomfort of selling at a loss. Another way loss aversion affects our finances is by causing us to procrastinate in starting investments. Some people know they should diversify their portfolios or invest in retirement accounts, but they keep putting it off. The fear of losing money in the market is so strong that they prefer to keep their funds in low-interest bank accounts, even if it means sacrificing potential growth. In both cases, loss aversion prevents us from making rational financial decisions. It drives us to cling to investments that have no potential and discourages us from seeking growth opportunities. So what can we do to overcome this innate fear of loss and make more strategic choices for our finances? First, cultivate financial education. By increasing our knowledge about the markets and investment opportunities, we empower ourselves to make more informed decisions. Understand that in the world of investments, ups and downs are normal and necessary for long-term growth. Learn to differentiate between calculated risks and genuinely dangerous situations. Knowledge is the key to transforming fear into confidence and turning potential losses into opportunities. Second, seek professional guidance. Consulting with a qualified financial advisor can be essential in managing loss aversion. An advisor can help you create a personalized plan tailored to your needs and risk tolerance, guiding you through market fluctuations with expertise and objectivity. It will help you set realistic expectations and make better investment decisions. Remember, sometimes it is hard to see the forest for the trees, and an outside perspective can be invaluable in overcoming emotional barriers. Third, adopt a long-term perspective. When it comes to finances, adopting a long-term perspective can be a powerful tool against loss aversion. Set long-term financial goals and focus on how your investments can grow over time. Remember that market volatility is normal, and short-term fluctuations shouldn't dictate your decisions. By thinking long-term, you train yourself to ignore short-term losses and stay committed to your investment strategy, allowing you to take advantage of the power of compounding interest and market growth. Finally, confront your fear of loss. To overcome loss aversion, you must learn to confront and manage your fear of loss. Recognize that the fear of making a wrong decision or suffering a financial setback is normal, but don't let it paralyze you. Take small steps towards your financial goals and challenge yourself to face uncertainty with more confidence. This process can be gradual, but it's essential to expand your comfort zone and break free from the limitations imposed by fear. Overcoming loss aversion is a journey, not a destination. It requires constant effort, self-awareness, and commitment to your financial goals. By embracing these strategies, you'll be better equipped to make more rational and strategic decisions. Seizing opportunities that will help you achieve greater financial success and live a life with less fear